Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode. BetterHelp is the world's largest therapy service, and it's 100% online. With BetterHelp, you can tap into a network of over 25,000 licensed and experienced therapists who can help you with a wide range of issues. To get started, you just answer a few questions about your needs and preferences in therapy. That way, BetterHelp can match you with the right therapist from their network. Then you can talk to your therapist however you feel comfortable, whether it's via text, chat, phone, or video call. You can message your therapist at any time and schedule live sessions when it's convenient for you. If your therapist isn't the right fit for any reason, you can switch to a new therapist at no additional charge. With BetterHelp, you get the same professionalism and quality you expect from in-office therapy, but with a therapist who is custom-picked for you, more scheduling flexibility, and at a more affordable price. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/thebarn. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/thebarn.
Hello, my name is Jason Lowry.
And I'm Mark Toti.
And this is the Parkland Podcast.
It's the Parkland Podcast with Jason and Mark. It's the Parkland Podcast with Jason and Mark. They got plenty to say. They got plenty of heart. On the Parkland Podcast with Jason and Mark. It's the Parkland Podcast. Yeah, the Parkland Podcast. It's the Parkland Podcast. Yeah, the Parkland Podcast with Jason and Mark. Jason and Mark.
We were in perfect rhythm with that. Has anybody ever told you have perfect rhythm, Mark Toti?
No.
Yeah.
Not even close. Not even close. I got a text from my brother, or actually I got a phone call from my brother. He thought I was mad at him because we accused him of being a critic last week. I had to explain, no, that's Parkland Podcast humor.
Yes. We make a lot of jokes
that
on this
really
show.
aren't all that funny, but we think they are.
Yeah.
And that's what matters.
They're funny to us.
Yes.
Got a great episode for you today. Thanks so much for tuning in, logging on, liking, subscribing, and downloading, and doing all those things in that order. Kristen White from Discover Farmington will tell us about so many neat things happening in our area this fall. And we'll also talk to Greg Beavers, the city administrator for the city of Farmington, and he'll give us an update on so many non-event things happening in the city of Farmington right now.
Yeah, there's a new budget that's going into place in Farmington. A lot of big projects set for the next fiscal year, and I am sure Greg will tell us all about them.
And I want to know who's building Chick-fil-A, because if I need something built, I want them to do it because, wow, they're moving quick.
They are moving quick. The Wendy's is coming in rather quickly in Farmington. And, gosh, we're just about a week or so away from finding out about all the good things happening in Bonne with Brandon Hubbard.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun, too. And we'll also talk to Erik Kruppe. Big night for the Farmington Knights, a wet and windy night for the Farmington Knights, but they're victorious in homecoming, and we'll check those and all the other sports scores from a busy week number 5 of the high school football season. All coming up here on the Parkland Podcast. Want to thank our sponsors, Parkland Pharmacy. Always great to have them on the show. Discover Farmington. Save a lot of the Parkland. John Robinson, our man at Pettis Chrysler Automotive. Heimberger Construction.
Hello, Jenny.
Earth Mother Health Foods.
Hello, Mary Lee.
Spokes Pub and Grill.
Hey, Chris.
And Southeast Missouri Mental Health Center.
Mr. Capias, hope you're doing well today.
There you go. Those are our sponsors for this week's episode of the Parkland Podcast. What'd you do this week, Mark Toti? Anything exciting?
Lots of meetings. Had a United Way meeting. We're going to be bringing in the new director of the United Way of St. Francis County on a future podcast. So, Suzanne, good morning. You're off to a great start. Did some work for the food pantry and the senior center and helped deliver candy for the Farmington Chamber of Commerce. So I went business to business and said, here's candy from Candy. Boom.
There's another one of those jokes. Got to keep up.
Yes.
Oh, we had homecoming at Farmington High School this week. Yeah. And all the activities. I really dig Adam Sandler Day as a theme day because basically that's 90% of my wardrobe. And the parade got rained out. That was a bummer, but had a great football game. I couldn't believe how many students braved the elements Friday night to make some noise and cheer on their team.
Big crowd?
Oh, yeah. It was bigger than I thought. And had two students on BKTV give a shout-out to Colton Sheets and Tyler Govro. They were the play-by-play and color commentary crew for the BKTV broadcast. And as we sit right now at record time, it actually has more views than Parkland Sports Live.
But we're going to change that.
I don't know, man. Those kids did so good. I want them to get some views.
There you go.
Oh, but yeah, just a great week. And happy homecoming to everybody. We got homecoming next week at Central and then the week after that at North County. Do you have a Toti-ly awesome radio story to tell us, Mark Toti?
I have a totally awesome podcast story to tell you.
Okay. It's recency.
So, I saw George Boyd and his wife Rita this past week, and they were very happy with the birthday shout-out that we gave George on turning 80. And he told me a story about the day he played basketball against Lou Alcindor.
Ooh.
Now, George is 6'9", but Lou Alcindor towered over him, and he had to jump center against Lou Alcindor back in the 60s, and he goes, Mark, I knew there was no way I could out-jump him, so I thought maybe I could just lean into him and get the advantage that way. Well, I did that, he says. It didn't work. He still got the jump on me, but then he looked at me and he said, hey, watch it, little man. And I laughed and I said, George, is that the first and only time somebody ever referred to you as little man? He goes, yes, it was. But I thought that was pretty good.
Wow, that's really, really cool. And every time I think of Kareem, I think of airplane.
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah.
I don't know.
Roger, over, under. Hey, I also want to send a shout out to a buddy of mine, a guy I've known a long time, Jeremy Sutton. He sent me a text message, and all I saw it was from Jeremy. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking it was Jeremy Horton from Bailey Joe's Barbecue.
Delicious.
And he said something about loving the podcast. I said, thanks. And he goes, man, you really need to do more than one of these a week. I just love them. And I said, well, I can't promise you that. I said, Jason's got a job, and I'm too old for more than one of these a week. He goes, well, I listen to them every week. I love them.
Awesome.
And I said, oh, and by the way, I walk early in the morning, and I walk by your house. So if you see some guy out there, it's not just some weirdo. It's me. And he goes, well, I don't think you walk by my house because I live in Bonne Terre. And that's when I realized it was not Jeremy Horton, it was Jeremy Sutton. So I said, oops, sorry. I said, yeah, that doesn't change the fact that there's a weirdo out walking at 5 o'clock in the morning. But yeah, I won't be in Bonne Terre. I said, sorry about that, Jeremy. And he goes, nah, I made for a good laugh. So thanks for listening and watching the podcast. Both Jeremys actually are fans of the podcast.
Yeah.
We appreciate it. And next time I give you a shout out, I'll know who I'm talking about.
Okay. There you go. A couple totally awesome radio stories here for you.
And podcasting stories.
Yes, on the Parkland Podcast. Earth Mother Health Foods sponsoring the Parkland Podcast, earthmotherhealthfoods.com. They're located on Harrison Street, right behind the firehouse in downtown Farmington. Earth Mother Health Foods has expertise, and they're always looking to help people feel better the natural way.
It's an amazing store. I was just in there this past week. In addition to helping you out with whatever kind of concerns you may have concerning your health, they've got some great healthy snacks and treats and foods there that you can get. They've got deodorants. I mean, they've got a little bit of everything at Earth Mother Health Foods. You literally could go in and shop there and stay for about an hour just looking at everything they have. And it's almost like a little museum, the store is as well. Mary Lee, big into the Indian culture. Mm-hmm. And it's just an amazing store. Melanie, I want to give you a shout out too, because every time I go in there, she always helps me out. They have great teas in there too. So if you like to drink tea, they've got so many different flavors of tea that you can choose from. It's really just an awesome store.
Check them out, earthmotherhealthfoods.com. Earth Mother Health Foods, they are celebrating 32 years of service to our community. Parkland Pharmacy is where we go when we need a prescription or we need medical advice or we need medical equipment or we have questions about insurance. And the 6 locations are fantastic: Deloge, Farmington, Fredericktown, Ironton, Piedmont, and Greenville. I go to the Deloge store all the time. You go to the Farmington store, and we say it, we mean it. Customer service, wonderful there all the time.
We hope to have a couple of the folks from Parkland Pharmacy joining us here in a couple of weeks on the Parkland podcast. Want to send a shout out to Judy Boring this morning. She does a wonderful job helping folks work through their insurance issues because she's done that with me. If you are hitting retirement age and you have to worry about Medicare and Medicaid and all that kind of good stuff, call Parkland Pharmacy, arrange an appointment with Judy. It's getting to be almost that time of year where you got to renew that every year. Judy can lead you right through it. She is fantastic.
And just a sweet person, too.
Oh, it's nice. As nice as nice can be.
Yeah. And those are the kind of people that work at Parkland Pharmacy. They have local pharmacy at its finest. They're in Deloge, Farmington, Fredericktown, Ironton, Piedmont, and Greenville. Parkland Pharmacy, sponsoring the Parkland Podcast. Time to check your local news now here on the Parkland Podcast.
A 31-year-old Jefferson County resident has been taken into custody by Farmington police after a 14-mile pursuit on Highway 67. That happened in late September. The pursuit ended near Bonne Terre after the pursued vehicle's tires were deflated by assisting agencies. The female was taken into custody for felony stealing, active warrants, resisting arrest, and numerous traffic charges. The suspect was transported to the St. Francis County Jail and processed. Charges are being filed through the St. Francis County Prosecuting Attorney's Office.
Missouri State Highway Patrol's Division of Drug and Crime Control announced the arrest of Dylan J. Miller of Farmington. The 30-year-old arrested on September the 5th and faces charges of possession and promoting child pornography. He's currently being held in the St. Francis County Jail on a $200,000 bond.
The city of Farmington is going to hold a rededication ceremony October 4th to rename the Farmington Sports Complex after longtime Farmington Parks director Bud Norman. He was employed with the city from 1977 through 2022. The sports complex is located off of St. Genevieve Avenue. Following the ceremony, work will then begin on the renovation of the Farmington Sports Complex.
And funeral services were held last week for a well-known Farmington resident. 89-year-old Daryl Plummer passed away on September 22nd. At one time, he was part owner of a hardware store and gas station in Farmington, then began the Plummer Family Music Show in Branson in 1973. Later in 2001, he and his wife Rosie opened the Plummer Family Theater south of Farmington. And that's your local news stories. Let's get some more news now with the city administrator for the city of Farmington, Greg Beavers. Heimberger Construction, heimbergerconstruction.com. Since 1978, they've been putting together fantastic buildings around the parkland. You can see them, and they have a secret weapon when it comes to their buildings and a fine organization that helps there.
Well, one of their secret weapons is Jennifer herself.
Right, yes.
She is awesome and amazing, but they also specialize in Butler buildings. They are the best metal building systems on the market, the only buildings that have a pre-punched roof system and standard 360-degree roof seam for their standing seam roof. And I am sure if you travel around the area, you're going to see a Heimberger-built building.
Mocap in Park Hills and Farmington, Griffin Automotive in Bonne Terre, Legacy Products in Bonne Terre, Paramount Glass, the expansion in Park Hills, Crown Valley Winery, just to name a few. Their website's beautiful, heimbergerconstruction.com. Give Jenny a call today, 431-4387.
Good people to work with.
Want to talk about Southeast Missouri Mental Health Center, providing mental health services since 1903. This is an amazing place to work. The work environment is awesome, and they have a lot of employees, Mark, that you and I know who have been there a long, long time. And I think that says something about what they do there.
Yeah, Rick Kruppe, want to give a shout
Yes.
out to Rick. Not only does he work there, but he helps to organize a whole lot of their fundraising events that they have there. Big employer in the area, and they're a corporation, I guess you could call them, a company that gives back to the community, and they really care about their patients and their well-being as well as their employees.
Now, they do have an opening right now. It's an advanced practice nurse, and that is for this region. The position includes daytime travel, a flexible work schedule with remote work options available, and a salary of $130,000 annually. Mark, do you want to go back to school and become an advanced practice nurse?
I'll tell you what, after years in radio, I'd have to work 7 years to make that much money. Wow, that's an awesome opportunity.
Yeah, and tremendous benefits. So this opening will not last long. To apply, contact the Department of Mental Health, 573-218-6800. We'll get you right to Rick Kruppe, or you can go to the website dmh.mo.gov. The state of Missouri is an equal opportunity employer. We celebrate diversity and are committed to creating an inclusive environment for all employees. Back on the Parkland podcast now, we have Farmington City Administrator Greg Beavers with us here. First off, before we get started with the interview, big thanks to you. You have helped Mark and I out so much in our radio careers. You've always been very forthcoming with all the information and always been a good guest. And coming out here on a Saturday morning when you could probably do a few other things around the house and giving your time to us. Greg, thank you so much.
You're very lucky it was rainy today. If the weather had been a little better, I would have probably declined. But rain worked in your favor. But thank you for the compliment. I appreciate that.
Well, Greg, how long have you been city administrator now?
It'll be 24 years in April.
Wow.
Of 2025.
And that includes a deployment to the Middle East at one point in time, too.
I was gone about 14 months in 20 years ago. This time 20 years ago, I was actually deployed.
Has it been 20 years?
It's been 20 years ago.
Wow. So we've got a new budget pretty much in place for the city of Farmington. Give us the scoop. How does it look? What are the numbers?
Well, the projected revenue is just a little south of $59 million this year. Expenditures exceed that because of a couple of drawdowns on reserves. We just borrowed $8 million. We completed the transaction on a couple of weeks ago. That money is going toward parks improvements and then also some improvements over our water and sewer department that we had to do basically to meet some bond requirements for the type of borrowing that we did. We needed to spend a portion of the money on what are termed essential services because it is a lease purchase obligation type financing that we set up. And the bond market likes activities that are collateralized that the city can't walk away from. So they require essential services. So we're spending part of the money to construct a new water and sewer operating shop, which is very much needed over on Industrial Drive. And then the bulk of the activity that people will notice or really genuinely care about include some renovations and reconstruction of facilities at the sports complex. We're doing work at the Civic Center, which we've actually already started. A lot of it is not so exciting. You know, a new roof on the building doesn't get a lot of attention, but it has to be done. We are starting work right now on the natatorium, the work that's going to be done there that will affect the people that use the indoor pool the most. Floor drains, again, the deck drains were failing. Not something you get excited about, but we have to get that repaired before we do anything else. We are going to replace the decking around the pool with a poured epoxy surface because the painted surface that's there, we just can't keep it clean. There are, too many folks come into the pool area in street shoes. And we're going to remodel the locker rooms. We're probably going to start those components late fall, early winter to get going on that. We're also replacing the slide structures and the slides at the outdoor water park facility and adding some shade structures on the water park. And then we also have a replacement of our kind of the central play feature there, the one with the bucket. It's been welded on and repaired so many times down through the last couple of years, or last couple of decades, I should say, that it's just reaching a point where we need to replace it. A lot of good work going on, though. The total capital expenditures for the year are about $20 million, which includes, in addition to the work I just described, we have vehicle and equipment replacement. There are 2 fire trucks on order, won't be delivered for almost 3 years, I think, until the last one comes in just because the lead times have gotten so crazy. But that's about $3.5 million that's included in the budget for this year. Even though we won't receive it, we have to book the expense. We have, of course, water, sewer, street work going on. We'll pave, again, 6 to 8 miles of street around town, which represents about 8% of our system, which is what we try and do each year. A lot of boring stuff, folks that people don't get too excited about because you pay your taxes and you just expect that somebody in the background should be taking care of these things and you shouldn't have to worry about them too much, right? I find it interesting when cities are having these big debates about whether or not they should fix their sewer system or fix their water system or fix their streets. Those aren't the kind of things you ought to be talking about, right?
Right.
That should just happen. That's what you pay your taxes for. So we're proud in Farmington that at least for the most part, we're able to maintain and keep those things transparently for folks. It just ought to happen.
You talked a little bit about it, but I wanted to ask you specifically about Bud Norman, the renaming of the sports complex. What a great guy to work with. You guys worked together a long time, didn't you?
It was a great recognition. I think Bud, I'd have to check, either 45 or 46 years.
Yeah.
He works at the city, started out mowing grass. He may have even started, as a part-time seasonal employee back in the mid-'70s. I think it was probably in the early 1980s. I don't remember the exact date that he was made the Parks and Recreation's director. And, tragically, he was killed in a motorcycle accident earlier this year. But the mayor has decided, and I think it's fantastic recognition for him to rename the sports complex as we go through these renovations as the Bud Norman Memorial Sports Complex. And I think that's a wonderful thing to do. We're going to have a groundbreaking ceremony, which will actually not be a groundbreaking as much as a demolition of the existing building ceremony, which is going to be held at 4 o'clock this coming Friday. We encourage folks to come out. We scheduled it specifically after school because the complex is for kids and youth predominantly, and we want to have a good crowd of them out to be a part of that process.
Boy, you've got so much work going on in Maple Valley with Chick-fil-A. Then you've got Wendy's on Karsh Boulevard. Those are two good additions for the city of Farmington. But what about also industrial growth? That's an ongoing thing too, isn't it?
And it's really difficult. If you look around the state of Missouri and you want to place an industry from the ground up, Farmington in a lot of ways doesn't look very good from a transportation standpoint. You can't really get east and west very well out of Farmington. North and south route is good if you're going to St. Louis or heading toward Little Rock. But it is a bit challenging. We are working right now with one of our local existing industries on an expansion opportunity. Of course, there are a number of commercial buildings available in Farmington because of the Scott family properties. They're marketing a number of those existing industrial buildings. So we're working to try and find tenants for those. But industry in general just moves pretty slow. I think read a report recently where Kansas City, who's, they check all the boxes with transportation, rail routes, water routes, highway routes, everything that you need. They've lost almost 2% of their manufacturing jobs over the last 5 years. Everything's just kind of changing. SR Global, which was one of our largest manufacturers in Farmington, has basically withdrawn to just being a cross-docking operation to support their manufacturing out of Mexico and China. So where we had at one point in time upwards of 400 people at that plant, at maximum, there are fewer than 30 people, I believe, that work there today because they're just doing warehousing operations. Centene Corporation, of course, shortly after they constructed their building in Farmington, their new operating center, COVID hit. And when COVID hit, everybody started transitioning to work at home, and a lot of companies found that productivity was where they needed to be, and they eliminated a lot of overhead. So there aren't as many people working on site out at that facility as there used to be. And when people are working remotely, it's near impossible for us to get a handle on how many employees in our region are still working for Centene Corporation, as an example. Same is true with some of our other data processing kind of companies, but it's a very challenging environment trying to recruit industries, and you have to have incentive structures in place that are restricted by state statute insofar as you can go. Industrial revenue bonds is one tool that we have, which is very useful and beneficial if somebody's building a plant or making a significant capital improvement. But that's a tough game. Always has been. Farmington had a lot of success in the past, but it's a difficult thing.
Greg, I know we've talked in the past. Farmington doesn't really check boxes when it comes to population just of Farmington, but you all kind of promote Farmington more on a regional basis, don't you?
Well, we have to. We have a regional economy, right? So we have to speak to that. Farmington proper has about 19,000 residents today. A number of those are institutionalized. The prison population, state mental health hospital, those are included in our population counts. Our true base population within the city limits of Farmington is down around 15,000 persons. Within the zip code, we have about 27,000, which is what we consider kind of our compact market area. And of course, there's 70,000 in the county. It's hard to estimate how much you draw from, Iron County and Reynolds County and those things on a daily basis. But, we market as a regional economy. Of course, the healthcare facilities draw from a regional kind of basis. One thing I think coming on the future that's going to impact us in a positive way in the healthcare field is the VA clinic, which is proposed for Farmington. The request for lease proposals for that project were due to the VA back in February of 2024, and at the time they said we won't even make an announcement till near the end of the year. So, start getting into the final quarter of 2024, we'll start asking the VA about a release date on that. That project, if it meets that current schedule, in about 2 years, we should have that facility up and operating. Wow. It'll employ about 120 folks with good federal VA jobs. The way the transaction is structured, the VA doesn't own the building. A developer develops it. The VA puts it on a lease for 20 years with full capital recovery. But that's going to be a great addition for Farmington and will help draw a lot of people from throughout the region into Farmington for health care that they're otherwise going to Poplar Bluff or St. Louis for.
I know that this upcoming year will be another election year for the mayor and the board in Farmington. And, of course, Mark and I hear, hey, this person's running, that person's running, this person's running. From the city, I guess, when are the deadlines to file, and when should we start paying attention to that, I guess?
Well, you put me on the spot on the exact date.
I'm sorry.
The filing dates are based on so many weeks prior to the actual election date, and I've forgotten what it is on the first Tuesday after the first Monday in April. I think it's maybe the 5th. About the first week in December is the filing date. Mm-hmm. The Missouri legislature did a really strange thing about 3 years ago. The filing date, ending date, closing date used to be up in January, a couple weeks into January. Someone decided that some legislator decided that, well, we need to back that date up into December, which will give candidates more time to campaign, which, in my way of thinking, is a bit of a foolish thought because you can start campaigning before you even file.
Sure.
I don't understand the rationale. It caused some interesting complications because I think maybe next year the filing closing date is on Christmas.
Huh. 1
year it's on Christmas Eve. And we have to have somebody in the office on those dates until 5:00 p.m. So people, after they pass that, everybody was like, what are we doing here? But it's only open for about 3 weeks now, the filing period for mayor and city council. And, kind of pay attention to it if you're interested. The Missouri, and I apologize for not having that.
Well, again, I put you on the spot.
Yeah, that's fine. People do that all the time.
Yeah, I bet.
But Missouri Secretary of State has those election dates on an election calendar. You can Google it and pop right up.
So, Greg, it used to be you probably couldn't go through a workday without somebody asking you about the homeless situation in Farmington. Is that still a big deal with Farmington residents?
Still a deal. It's a deal with every community in America on a different level. Farmington, again, we're a region, and if you're a homeless person, it's maybe better to be homeless in Farmington than another smaller community around, just trying to get access to things. I did a lot of reading on that, and this is a structural problem in the American economy that's impacting larger cities, obviously, and then regional cities and things. But the opioid crisis that we have in our country and the methamphetamine, it shows up frequently, is a big component of that problem. Lack of affordable housing is a large component of that problem. And then, lack of ready access and adequate access to mental health care is a huge part of that problem. And you go through these local discussions on what do you do. You have homeless folks in your community, and you have to provide some safe harbor for them. You can't just ignore the problem. The immediate concern that a lot of citizens have is, well, if you provide services, you're going to attract more homeless people. I don't dispute that. There's an element of that. But our partnership with East Missouri Action Agency down through the years to try and figure out what that service delivery model looks like, they've tracked kind of the origin. Where are the folks from? And they're St. Francis County folks. The majority of the homeless population that we have, and I would say, when I say majority, I think it's probably in the 60% of the homeless people that we have that kind of stay in the area. We also have transient folks that come through, and our police department interacts with them a lot, and we know their stories most often. And we have folks that they're from Minnesota or Arkansas or somewhere else in Missouri, and they're just kind of drifting through. They tend to stick around for a few days, and then they move somewhere else. But we have a base population. The sociologists that do try and study this, I read a number. This is 2 or 3 years ago probably, but Missouri has about a homeless person for each 1,000 in population. We have one unsheltered or situationally unhoused, whatever phrase you want to use, for 1,000. If that's reasonably equally distributed across the state, and I don't think it is, but if it were, we would expect to have about 60 to 70 chronically homeless people in St. Francis County. And those times when we have to provide emergency shelter to get people, out of severe cold weather conditions and things like that, that's about the number that we're having to provide services for, is 55 to 70 folks kind of consistently. And, during the wintertime, we actively go out looking. Our fire department has used, last year we used a drone when we were having this real extreme cold weather event happen. We have a drone that has a thermal imaging camera on it, and we overflew wooded areas around Farmington looking for heat signatures for people to go get them and put them in shelter operations, so we didn't have a worse situation develop, the next morning. And I don't know what to do. I don't think anybody genuinely knows what to do, except that you have to do everything. We house people that want to be housed. We have an ordinance that is as good as you can get on panhandling. The most frequent thing that people call me about is Farmington needs a panhandling ordinance. Folks, panhandling was deemed a constitutional free speech right in the 1970s. Giving money to a panhandler is protected constitutionally. There is no such thing as loitering on public property, right? You have a constitutional right to peaceably gather on public property. You can run them off your private property. You can have, no loitering or anything like that on private property. But as a public entity, where we have city rights-of-way, city parks, city facilities like City Hall, we can't tell people that they just can't be there because, in our view, they're undesirable in their appearance or their conduct. They're just undesirable. So it is a bit of a problem. The Supreme Court ruled 2 months ago on a question of banning people from sleeping on public property. Mm-hmm. And there was a case out of California where the basic ruling out of federal court was, unless you have another alternative for folks, you can't tell them they can't sleep in public, because sleeping is a biological requirement just like breathing. And we were very concerned about how the Supreme Court may have ruled on that, because had they ruled like I think it's the fourth court out of California ruled, people want to sleep on the front lawn of City Hall, we wouldn't be able to stop them, right? Supreme Court did, however, make the ruling that we could set reasonable restrictions on sleeping in public. Farmington amended its ordinance accordingly. We removed the benches from downtown. Shame we had to do it, but we had business owners, They frankly don't want to open their shop with people sleeping on the bench outside their shop. There's an avoidance issue with customers and things. They just didn't want it. It's a shame we have to make those adjustments, but we're trying everything within the law that we can do within Farmington to mitigate, the effect on the community and the effect on the folks that are unfortunately homeless.
Let's switch to a lighter subject. Christmas is coming. The city of Farmington has a lot of things going on, working in tandem with Discover Farmington, and there are so many neat things to do and attractions for folks to come into the area to celebrate.
There are, the kind of an anchor for Christmas for a number of years. I'll give credit again to Bud Norman for this particular event. I think he originated it back in the late 80s or along about that time, is Winter Wonderland.
I love it.
We don't change it a lot down through the years. It is what it is. And Kevin Amonette and the crew in the Parks Department will start erecting that feature and that set in Long Memorial Hall about the first week in November. They begin to set it up. Traditional time for us to open Winter Wonderland is at the conclusion of the Christmas parade. We deliver Santa Claus in a fire truck down to City Hall and let him open Winter Wonderland. In the last few years, Chris Landrum and a group of ladies have taken on the chore of really expanding, Christmas offerings and things in downtown Farmington. The Discover Farmington and Farmington Tourism and Convention Bureau provides the funding necessary for those things. But, they have a number of the carriage rides are the big thing.
Yeah.
People love those carriage rides. And I was standing listening last year to a group of folks from St. Louis that had come to Farmington instead of St. Charles. St. Charles, you have to pay for the carriage rides. And I don't know, it's $20 a head or whatever it is. So They decided to come down to Farmington and see our downtown. Well, touchdown. That's kind of the thing you want. You get those things in small pieces. There's an ice carver. There's activities and events for the kids. There's just I think they had carolers last year. It was kind of off in pieces and different things.
Yes, they did.
The objective and the goal is to make downtown Farmington that just that beautiful downtown that we have, just kind of show its charm, decorate it for Christmas, set it up, and make it a gathering place in the community for everyone to spend their Christmas time. Of course, you have the Chamber of Commerce Christmas Parade as a part of that. That kind of folds into that, but a lot of good activities going on.
And Long Haul celebrating 100 years anniversary this month of October. Kristen talked a lot about that, but that's a special time for everyone.
It is. That building, I think a lot of people in Farmington don't know the history of the building. You just know it's there. But the building was donated. I think the number was $68,000. And Dubert Long, who the building's named after, was the brother to Jane Ambrose Long, whose married name was Jane Ambrose Bisbee. And in her will, her brother and her husband were business partners, and they were wool brokers. They lived in Hamilton, Ontario, is where they actually ultimately lived. In her will, she left money to West Winfield, New York, to build a memorial building that's called Bisbee Memorial Hall. It is a sister building to Long Memorial Hall. Looks just like it.
Yeah.
Their parapet wall with a name on it fell off a few years ago because they didn't take care of the building, and they use it for their library. But she, I think the number was $68,000. It was constructed, turned over to the city, actually on October 31st, Halloween night or Halloween day of 1924, and it's been in use by the city ever since. The original building had what I call the wings, the west wing and the east wing of the building. The east wing was the treasurer's office. The west wing of the building where my office is, which was my office space, was actually added on later, but that other end was the library and served as the library from 1924 until the mid-'70s when the library was built, behind on Harrison Street. Had an addition that Miss Giesing, and I'm sorry I don't remember her first name, but Miss Giesing was the librarian in Farmington for years, and she did fundraisers to add on to the building. And the addition was what is now my office, the city administrator's office at City Hall. So it's got a long storied history. Back in the World War II. It was used for a period of time by the National Guard as a drill hall for a period of time. You just
Movie theater, I believe.
Movie theater. There's a
Bowling
bowling alley
alley
in the basement when it was built. And I like telling people it's been paid for a long time. It's a very, I love the old building. It's just a grand looking old piece of architecture. It is the most inefficient office space you can work in. I've got people on 3 floors and scattered, and I've got empty offices and empty spaces and things going on. But it's been paid for a long time. This year we're going to make what will amount to about a $600,000 investment in the building in the replacement of the windows. The window units are all 100 years old.
Sure.
And we had them repaired 16, 18 years ago with, patch the wood, replace some of the wood, paint the windows. But we're going to go with a full replacement with custom-made windows that match the existing architecture, which is expensive, but the building deserves it.
Very, very cool. Greg, we could talk to you for hours about things going on in Farmington. You are a wealth of information.
I've got a head full of worthless information.
We love it. We love it. Thanks so much for joining us again.
Thanks for having me today. I enjoyed it.
All right. That's the city administrator for the city of Farmington, Greg Beavers, joining us here on the Parkland Podcast. Let's talk about Save-A-Lots of the Parkland there in Bonne Terre, DeSoto, Potosi, Park Hills, and Farmington. And they have an excellent selection of items. And I love how they're getting more local items in. And one of the best things around locally is this from Bailey Joe's. So yummy.
Yes, Bailey Joe's saw Jeremy, and he gave us a couple of these to brag about. These are available in Save-A-Lot stores. This is their dressing, their Italian dressing. We also have some barbecue sauce. I believe there's a barbecue and a cherry glaze there as well. And they start at phenomenal and work their way up. But that's just an example of the great quality products you will find at Save-A-Lot. And I got to tell you, at our men's club barbecue, we had a few leftover chickens from the John Thomas Scholarship Fundraiser, and we broke them out. All that chicken came from Save-A-Lot, and I got to tell you, it's fabulous.
Yeah, they do such a great job. They have butchers in every store. They're always looking at ways to bring new and exciting items to the store, so things are changing. It's not the same every time, which is real exciting. They do a great job. Check them out today. They're Save-A-Lots at the Parkland, Bonne Terre, DeSoto, Park Hills, Potosi, and Farmington. John Robinson works at Pettis Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram at the Fairgrounds exit Highway 67. He has been selling cars for a long time. I think he went to school to be a lawyer, if I remember right, and then ended up selling cars on the side and was like, hey, I really like this job better, and ended up doing that. And thankfully, people that have been buying cars from him from the last 33 years are happy he made that decision.
I tell you what, when you go by Pettis, one thing you'll notice right away is the huge selection of vehicles you have. Most people go to do a little car shopping. They know they want a car, and that's about all they really realize. John's got the experience and the know-how to guide you through that whole process. He'll find out what your budget is, what you're looking for. Is it a vehicle for you? Is it for your wife maybe, or one of your kids going to school? Do you need a second car or third car? You got to have somebody in the know that's going to get you through all that and all the financing that goes with it to make sure you get the vehicle you want at the price you want.
John Robinson, give him a call right now, 701-8002. He sponsors the Parkland Podcast. Let's celebrate some happy birthdays on the Parkland Podcast, and let's begin with the birthdays of Monday, September 30th.
Well, we want to say happy birthday to Julie Bauke, who is married to Kurt Bauke, the longtime band director for Farmington High School. Julie, happy birthday wishes going out to you. My buddy Rick Hampton celebrating a birthday. Rick was a great basketball player.
Oh, absolutely. He was a great guy to go hang out with, too.
Just ask him sometime about the surgery he had about a year ago or a year and a half ago. We don't have enough time.
Okay.
We don't have enough time on the Parkland podcast to talk about it, but it was a very interesting surgery, I could tell you. Happy birthday to Ree Rogers. That's from your husband, Denny, and your boys. Her boys helped put together a big fundraiser for Craig Thomas, the hog toss.
Yeah.
Going back about 10 or 12 years ago, and they did such a wonderful job with that. Happy birthday wishes going out to the legend herself, Tammy Coleman.
Yes.
She is awesome, isn't she?
Oh, my. She's one of the best people to talk to, and she's been on the podcast, and just love Tammy. She works so hard.
And apparently we got the date wrong on Greg Noble's birthday.
Yeah. So, Greg, hope you enjoyed a birthday wish last week, even though it wasn't your birthday, because actually Monday, September 30th is. Happy birthday, OP.
Happy birthday, Oakmeister. Still remember broadcasting your baseball games in high school.
Yeah, I remember watching them. I want to wish happy birthday on Monday to Marty Winslow. Happy birthday,
Yeah.
Marty. And Brian Forney, happy birthday to you, my good man. How about Tuesday, October the 1st?
Well, I'll let you take the lead on Tuesday because you've got a very special birthday.
Oh, my oldest son, Jonas, is 14 on Tuesday. I love you so much. You're just the most amazing kid ever. And I hope your birthday party coming up next weekend is awesome, too. Happy birthday, Jonas. Love you so much.
Yeah, he laughs at every joke I tell. So
He does.
I just think Jonas is awesome. Hey, also want to say happy birthday to my buddy Jim Turk. Haven't seen you in a while. Jim, hope you're doing well. Used to come to the Civic Center. He'd be at the Civic Center for like an hour and a half. And he'd do about 12 minutes of exercise, and then he would talk the rest of the time he was there.
Vocal exercising.
Yeah, but he's a good guy, so I didn't mind at all. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Paul Govro. That's from your wife, Yvette. Yvette worked at the radio station for a while.
Yes, I remember her.
Back in the day. And Paul, we hope you have a great and wonderful birthday. And Dennis Gillum with a birthday today, the founder of
GTO.
Yeah, buddy, one of the most well-known groups, local groups, regional groups of the past 25, 30 years in the area.
Want to wish a happy birthday to my insurance agent, Scott Haggerty from the Haggerty
Lower his
Insurance
rates.
family. Yep. Thank you. Appreciate that, Scott. Hope you have a great birthday, buddy. Thanks for all you do for me. And Paul Pasternak, he was the assistant coach of the North County State Championship team along with his brother, Steve. Paul still doing a lot of work, even though he's retired for North County, runs a lot of the clocks and things like that, does a great job. Happy birthday, Paul. What about Wednesday, October 2nd?
I think the official term is we have a boatload of birthdays to go over. Happy birthday wishes going out to Jeff Grunwald. He is married to Jessica at Visions of Hope and Dressed to Impress. We hope you have a great and wonderful day. Jonah Burgess with a birthday. He's the son of Brett Burgess. Happy birthday wishes going out. Jonah's, he's tall.
He is, yeah.
He's like 6'5" or something like
big
that.
Big old Burgess boy.
Happy birthday to Amy Moore. We hope you have a wonderful day, young lady. I've wished her a happy birthday every year for I think the last 10 or 15 years. Tony Easter celebrates a birthday. If the president's wife is called the first lady, I guess Tony would be the first man because he's married to the mayor of Park Hills, Stacy Easter.
First gentleman.
Yeah, first gentleman.
First gentleman. That's what it is.
He
yes.
says it's his birthday every day because
Yeah.
he's married to her. Anyway, Megan Canaday, happy birthday wishes to you. Married to Chris Canaday, St. Genevieve High School football or basketball player.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Mineral Area College basketball player. Megan was one of the Webb girls.
Yes, yes.
Daughters
Very,
of
very
Dr.
good
Webb.
athlete, too, in her own
Yes,
right.
she was. She
Absolutely.
played basketball.
Yep.
At Mac. Kelsey D'Amico celebrating a birthday today. I've known her since she was about 14 or 15. She got involved in the talent shows that we used to have as a part of Country Days. Won it a couple of years. Now she's married. She's got a little girl. Happy birthday to you, Kelsey. Hillary Hahn celebrates a birthday. She's married to Michael Hahn, the great wrestler and football player from Farmington. Now they have, I think, 3 kids, and their oldest is a really good wrestler as well. Hillary and I played volleyball in the same team 1 year back back in the day. And happy birthday wishes going out to our good buddy, Tim Porter with the city of Farmington.
Tim Ray, happy birthday to the third most famous person ever to come out of Viburnum? Maybe fourth.
I'll tell you what, he was a heck of a basketball player back in the day and longtime policeman in Farmington. And now I think he works in building inspections and does other things for the city of Farmington. Just a great guy.
Yeah, and him and I called a couple of games together back in the day, and I also got to do like a whole tournament with his brother Todd, which was very entertaining as well. Happy birthday on Wednesday to Brandy Barrett. Happy birthday to you, Brandy. Hope you have a great day as well. Do we have a boat ton of birthdays for Thursday, October 3rd?
We have more birthdays on Thursday than we did Wednesday, if that tells you anything. Happy birthday to Lauren Peterson. Lauren, back in the day, ran for Miss Missouri, and I got to interview her a couple of times. She's just a really sweet gal. So happy birthday to you, Lauren. Happy birthday wishes going out to Angie Hahn. She spent a lot of years on the Farmington. She may even still be on.
Yeah, she still is. Yes,
still on the Farmington School
Absolutely.
Board of Education. Happy birthday to you, Miss Angie. Lidon Snavely. Happy birthday to you from all of your family. We hope you're doing well. My cousin, Debbie Bentrup, celebrates a birthday. She has a cabin on the river that she likes to escape to on the weekend. She says she likes to fish. I think she has more fun drinking beer there than she does fishing. I've never been invited. Thanks, Debbie. Anyway, happy birthday to you from your mom, your brother, your sister, and all the Toti clan. Shauna Adams, happy birthday to you, young lady. She worked for the city of Farmington for a bunch of years, and now I think she's either an EMT or a paramedic. Brad Cooper, happy birthday to you. He was a great basketball player at Fredericktown High School.
Yeah.
Went to Mineral Area College and played. Then he did a financial show at the radio station for a couple of years. I can't remember what it was called, but he hosted that for a couple of years. Happy birthday to you. Joe Gable, happy birthday to you from your wife and all of your family. Kyle Short, happy birthday to you from your mom and your wife, your kids, and all of your family. Happy birthday to Leslie Reinitz. That's a birthday wish from Lee and all of your family. Their granddaughter works at the Farmington Civic Center. She's a sweetheart, by the way. Good morning to you, Adrian. And happy birthday to Sharon Clevey. That's from Gary and all of your family as well. Right. Told you we had a boatload.
I know. And I got, how about Paul Fritsch?
Yeah.
Paul, one of the most awesome dudes ever. Is the cat messing with our birthdays? Oh, uh-oh.
Cat, you got to go.
So just redo after Mark finishes.
Okay, so pick it up at Paul?
Yeah.
Okay. It's my cue to edit. Hey, I got some more. How about Paul Fritsch? What a great guy Paul is. He's been a cheerleading coach at Mac in North County, and now he's at Farmington. He came over to the dark side, too, and just doing an awesome job. And just a great guy, and I know he loves to ride the three-wheel bike around and enjoy himself. Paul's a great guy.
Hey, Paul, I beat you in horse. I just want you to remember that. We played horse one time in Moberly in between the girls' game and the boys. No, it was before the girls' game, and I beat him in a game of horse, and I let everyone know it. So there you go.
Also, my sister-in-law, Kara Wampler, with a birthday on Thursday. Happy birthday, Kara. Aunt Kara. Hope you're doing great.
You don't call her Big Sweaty, do you?
No.
Okay.
That'd be pretty funny if I did, though. And a happy birthday to Gina Cagle and Angie Weiss, a couple of young ladies that I went to high school with. Hope you guys, Gina all the way through. Hope you guys have a great birthday on Thursday. What about Friday, October 4th?
Just a couple of birthdays to pass along to you. Jimmy Brotherton, he is a great drummer. He has been a drummer for a lot of area groups. I think he was with Triple X for a while and a bunch of others. Anyway, Jimmy, happy birthday wishes going out to you. And Sabrina Gilly, happy birthday wishes to you. I have been wishing her a happy birthday for about 10 or 15 years. That's from your mom and dad, your sisters, and all of your family.
I'm going to wish a happy birthday to Larry Joseph.
Yeah, Larry.
Larry, former boss of mine at KFMO B104
Well, you
Radio.
let him think he was the boss.
Oh, no, he let me know. No, multiple times. Now he's the public address announcer for Farmington High School volleyball and basketball.
Past president of the Farmington Chamber of Commerce and a wannabe guest of the Parkland podcast.
And my cousin, Pam Stockman. Pam also worked for Larry at one point at KFMO B104 Radio.
And we won't be calling her Big Sweaty.
No.
either.
Yeah, Pam does not prefer the term Big Sweaty either. Happy birthday, cuz. Hope it's a great one for you. What about Saturday, October 5th?
Saturday birthdays. Happy birthday to Robert Java. Happy birthday wishes to you from your mom and your brothers and sisters and everybody at Mineral Area College. I know in years past he's been a big help with the women's basketball team.
Absolutely. And for years with the Farmington Knights football team, too.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to you, Robert. Happy birthday to Robin Sebastian. I knew her when she worked at Farmington City Hall for a bunch of years, and she married into the Sebastian clan, and I saw her at Blues Brews and Barbecue. Robin, you look great. Happy birthday wishes to you. And happy birthday to Judy Davis. Judy. She's married to Bud Davis, who we wished a happy birthday to not too long ago at the Parkland podcast.
How about Sunday, October 6th?
Just a couple of birthdays to pass along to you. My good buddy Chuck Eves celebrates a birthday, and Chuck likes to point out the fact that he is younger than me by a couple of months. Chuck, if only you looked younger than me, too, to go with it. Ba-doom, pow! Actually, Chuck's a great guy, a really good golfer. Spent a lot of years as a football referee on Friday nights. And just a really, really good guy. Happy birthday to you. And happy birthday to Darcy Fangman. She is a lean, mean musical machine. Darcy, I hope you have a great day today. Happy birthday from your husband and all your family.
And one more for me to pass along. Lori Crocker celebrating a birthday on Sunday, October the 6th. Happy birthday to Lori. And oh my gosh, I almost pulled a Mark Toti and forgot my mom's birthday.
You would have
Oh
been
my
in
gosh. See,
big
now
trouble.
it's the same thing because she is on Facebook, but she hides her birthday for some reason.
Why would she hide the
I don't
fact
know.
that she is 29 years old?
Exactly.
Mama Lowry, what's up with that?
Man. And too, one of my favorite stories too, and this was back when I was still on the air. I went into, they have a radio in the bathroom at my parents' house, and I flip it on, and of course it was on KREI, and I was like, well, Mom, why are you listening to KREI? Well, I wanted to see if Mark Toti was going to wish me a happy birthday.
Mama Lowry, you are my favorite Lowry now. That's all there is to it.
Oh, my. Happy birthday, Mom. I love you so much. Those are your birthdays and your anniversaries here on the Parkland Podcast. Heimberger Construction, heimbergerconstruction.com. Since 1978, they've been putting together fantastic buildings around the parkland. You can see them, and they have a secret weapon when it comes to their buildings and a fine organization that helps there.
Well, one of their secret weapons is Jennifer herself.
Right, yes.
She is awesome and amazing, but they also specialize in Butler buildings. They are the best metal building systems on the market, the only buildings that have a pre-punched roof system and standard 360-degree roof seam for their standing seam roof. And I am sure if you travel around the area, you're going to see a Heimberger-built building.
Mocap in Park Hills and Farmington, Griffin Automotive in Bonne Terre, Legacy Products in Bonne Terre, Paramount Glass, the expansion in Park Hills, Crown Valley Winery, just to name a few. Their website's beautiful, heimbergerconstruction.com. Give Jenny a call today, 431-4387.
Good people to work with.
Let's look at the events page now. That's brought to you by Discover Farmington. More than you ever imagined. DiscoverFarmingtonMo.gov allows you to find out more about entertainment, dining, outdoor activities, wineries, and more. And they sponsor the events right here on the Parkland Podcast.
Farmington, Missouri, your destination for a perfect weekend getaway. Dine in at one of our quality restaurants or visit one of our surrounding wineries. Farmington offers a variety of parks and other recreational leisure time activities. See some sights, have some fun, and go wherever your heart takes you. Sounds like a lot of fun, so get a room and stay a while. All this and more awaits you just 60 miles south of St. Louis. Discover Farmington today.
Mom's Cafe will offer up a free meal on Wednesday at 5:30 at the Methodist Church in Farmington.
There's also a blood drive happening on Wednesday. That's at West County High School. It starts at 12:30.
And there's another blood drive on Thursday at the First Baptist Church of Farmington at 1:30.
Make sure you go to Subway this Thursday of Farmington. You will help out the United Way of St. Francis County, as a portion of your purchase will go to that great organization. And, of course, you know we always eat fresh.
That's right. Heather, Jessica, Brianna, Courtney, Mike, Jake, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day you're listening. Thanks for being a part of the podcast. Let's see. Fall family hayrides take place Thursday nights in October at Engler Park.
You can help the Hungry Bake Sale on Friday, October the 4th. Get those orders in right now and help the Hungry Bake Sale with the Help the Hungry Barbecue.
Go to their Facebook page to find out more on that. Discover Farmington, downtown Farmington block party coming up this weekend, starting at 7 o'clock with Fame and Fortune.
The Erica Wade Foundation 5K run happening Saturday morning in Farmington. Proceeds will benefit Shriners Hospital.
The Turtleac Fall Festival is coming up October 5th, starting at 9 o'clock.
Cruising for a Cause Zombie Cruise 2.0 happening Saturday, October 5th, all day in downtown Park Hills.
The St. Francis County Historical Society Review takes place October 5th at 1 o'clock at Long Hall. There's going to be guest speakers. It's all part of the 100th anniversary of Long Hall.
St. Paul Lutheran School has their big annual trivia night Saturday, October 5th. That happens in the elementary gym, and the doors open at 6 o'clock.
Babbling about Broadway. We'll have some folks in to talk about that coming up on the podcast a little later on. Babbling About Broadway, a musical review, takes place October 11th and 12th at 7 p.m., October 13th at 3 p.m. at Truman Auditorium.
There's going to be a side-by-side for Season of Hope happening on October 12th, starting at 9 a.m. at the St. Francis County Fairgrounds. The proceeds from this event will benefit the St. Francis County Community Partnership.
It's the best kind of jamboree there is, the Jack-O-Lantern Jamboree, October 19th, starting at 4 o'clock at the St. Francis County Raceway.
Take the kids out to a trunk or treat in Deloge City Park, October 23rd from 5 to 7.
Ghouls Night Out for the United Way of St. Francis County, October 24th at 5 o'clock at Twin Oaks.
And Voices of the Past, the Downtown Cemetery Tour, historic cemetery tour, will happen on October the 27th. These events and more always available on the Facebook page. Go to discoverfarmingtonmo.com and find out about everything happening in the Parkland.
Hi, my name is Jonas, and I go to St. Joseph in Farmington. My friends in the St. Joseph Youth Group are planning another mission trip to Belize next July. The group will help rebuild and repair Catholic schools in the country. Just call St. Joseph Catholic Church in Farmington for more information. And don't forget about the drive-thru chicken fry on Sunday, October 6th, right outside the school cafeteria. Chicken, sides, and desserts for just $10 a plate. Help the St. Joe Youth Group help other young Catholics in Belize by supporting their mission trip.
Parkland Pharmacy is out to prove that local independent pharmacy is alive and well. We work hard at giving you an excellent experience every time you come to see us. We love what we do, and we would love to take care of you. There's no need to be frustrated with your health care. If you're tired of what your pharmacy is not doing for you, then stop waiting in line and come see us today. We have 6 locations across Southeast Missouri, so Google us to find the store nearest you or visit parklandrx.com. Parkland Pharmacy is a local pharmacy at its finest.
The Department of Mental Health for the state of Missouri is seeking an advanced practice nurse to fill a position on their East-Southeast Regional Forensics mobile team. This position includes daytime travel, a flexible work schedule with remote work options available, at a salary of $130,000 annually, and tremendous benefits. This opening will not last long. To apply for the advanced practice nurse position or any other with the Department of Mental Health, please call 573-218-6800 or go to dmh.mo.gov. The
The state of Missouri is an equal opportunity employer. We celebrate diversity and are committed to creating an inclusive environment for all employees.
Let's do some sports now on the Parkland Podcast. We begin with our broadcast game from Parkland Sports Live Friday night. The Farmington Knights, a soggy, windy night for homecoming. They come away with a 45-6 victory over the Sikeston Bulldogs. After the ball game, our Mike Reeves caught up with Knights head coach Erik Kruppe.
Erik Kruppe, we'll just start make it real easy at the beginning of this. When you get the win tonight, what did you think of your group, the way you played, the way you executed, in not very good conditions, to be honest?
No, it's I don't know the last time we had these types of conditions, but the fact of the matter is Sikeston was in it too, and if you go down the road, St. John and Park Hills are in the same thing, and Rowell and North County and the like. So you got to be able to overcome those things. And obviously in the first half we let a couple scoring opportunities go away because of the wet football, and we just got to make sure that we cleaned those things up. But we did what we needed to do ultimately, and that's come away with a victory. And kids played hard. I think kids were the more physical team tonight, and that's something that I always want to be able to say for our program, is that we were the more physical team when it was all said and done, and I think we did that. And now we just move forward to the next game.
Did the weather alter anything you wanted to do or tried to do tonight, or were you going to be able to do kind of what the Knights do regardless of weather situations?
Well, we probably would have put the ball in the air more had the weather conditions not been like they were. Obviously we're a run dominated team, and our passing game comes off of that run game, but we didn't feel like we needed to do that tonight and put ourselves in adverse positions. We were moving the ball effectively on the ground, and we don't want to shoot ourselves in the foot or give Sikeston something because of the conditions and us just not being able to operate properly in the pass game. So we would have passed more, obviously, had the weather not been the way it was, but we were successful on the ground. Some of the special teams things that you do, you might alter because of it, with the wind. If you're kicking into it, you've got one concept. If you're kicking with it, you've got another concept. So, there were some things that you had to adjust to.
In terms of your offensive, defensive lines, we'll look at both sides of it. Are you playing as well as it looks like to a novice who's just trying to kind of follow you? Because you're doing a lot up front that I like.
I think we're getting better. We were week one against North County up front, and both sides of the line of scrimmage. We're better. There's no doubt about that. So we are definitely taking steps forward, and that's what you want to be able to do. Obviously, you don't want to regress. Staying the same is almost like regressing. So we are definitely getting better up front, and we knew coming into the season that's where the least of our experience lied. Our experience was more in the back end of things, and I think these kids are getting, as they get more experience and they get their feet underneath them, and they feel what varsity football on a Friday night feels like. I think we are improving on both sides, and we got to keep improving, because obviously with Cape Central coming up in a couple weeks, and you got your Festus's and Park Hills in the playoffs, we need to continue to keep getting better. And just keep working hard and pushing forward.
Wrap it up with this. How much are you and your coaching staff enjoying that offensively? There are so many things you can do as a varied offense. It may be the same general idea, but you got the 2 or 3 different people who can execute it. And again, the blocking up front's got to get done. How much is that benefiting you too? That you're not one-dimensional by any stretch, even though it may look like you do some of the basic things.
Well, it's not old school 1990 where I run the football, so I'm turning around, reverse pivoting, and handing off to the tailback 30 times. You've got it all starts obviously with the dive in Casey McLean, but he's done it for 4 years. Everybody knows what Brett Dry is. Then you've got Connor Rice and Josh McCarthy when you get to that next phase of the option. And I know we didn't really throw the ball tonight, but when we do, Tatum Tinsley at tight end, Jack Embry, Ian Zone at receiver. So we've got plenty of weapons to distribute the ball to. So yes, even though like a night like tonight where we ran the football and we didn't put it in the air, the football was spread around to multiple people.
Look forward to seeing you down the road. Congrats on a good one tonight.
Great, thank you very much.
Guys, back up to you.
Again, 45-6 your final score, but the biggest winner of the night, the Farmington homecoming queen, Madison Mills.
She's a sweet kid. I haven't seen her in a while. I used to see her with her dad and her brother and sister, and she was a heck of a free throw shooter. She got involved in all the big free throw shooting competitions and did really, really well.
And a good volleyball player, and apparently has good queen attributions.
Gets that from her mom.
Yeah. Although Chad's pretty elegant. Trust me on that.
In addition, from Friday Night Football, this game is always a shootout, always a lot of fun. St. Genevieve Central 40-34 over the Dragons. What a game that must have been.
Yeah, and overtime, too. North County Raiders pick up a win on the road. They defeat Rolla 24-20.
Fredericktown continues to play good football this year, beating Potosi 12-0.
Valley Catholic Warriors are back, a 37-7 victory over Caruthersville.
82 points scored as DeSoto beats Windsor by a score of 52-30.
Perryville Pirates continuing their good year, a 32-0 shutout win over Grandview.
It's good to be an Indian. St. Vincent Indians 35-0 over Hayti.
And Festus gets the victory over Hillsboro. This rivalry has been blue for a long time, and now it is a black and gold with the Tigers, a 14-7 win over the Hillsboro Hawks.
Another high-scoring affair. It was Jefferson over Bayless, 35-26.
All right, let's talk some MAC sports now. The MAC men soccer program sitting at 7-3-1 on the season.
The soccer women, 5-6.
And the volleyball team now 11-4, 3-1 in conference play.
And we have more football coming up this week, right?
Now, Friday night, it's homecoming at Central. The Rebels, boy, they have been involved in some tough contests this year, and they're going to welcome in the Potosi Trojans, and we'll have that one for you. Coverage beginning at 6:20 on YouTube and Facebook Live. It's Parkland Sports Live, high school football on a Friday night.
And I guess we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the Missouri Tigers continue to be undefeated, and the St. Louis Cardinals season came to an end. Cards finished the year above 500, and that's about the only bright spot, other than Mason Wynn and a few young guys that are really starting to develop as players.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see what happens to the team after the season, once we get into after, postseason and the free agency market heats up. The Cards are at a disadvantage because we're not going to know entirely what's going on with like regional sports networks and how that revenue, and that is a big deal not only for the Cardinals, but a lot of other teams in Major League Baseball and a lot of hockey teams and a lot of basketball teams too.
Big money we're talking.
Yeah.
Big money for sure.
So these teams like the Cardinals and others that are in their boat, very hesitant to give out those big number long-term deals because they don't know where the revenue's coming. So I think we got one more year of that, and then hopefully the Cardinals can get a deal locked in and start spending some money because that would be nice.
And the fans deserve it.
They do, and maybe they'll come back. I don't know. Some of those pictures the last couple of weeks were pretty bad. Anyways, that is what is going on in the world of sports right here on the Parkland Podcast.
Ready to roll up your sleeves and dive into a hands-on career? Mineral Area College is ready for you. Their Mac Tech industry and technology programs are all about getting to work and making things happen. Whether you thrive on fixing, building, or just plain problem solving, they've got a pathway for you. Welding, HVAC, auto tech, construction, and more. You'll gain the practical skills and real-world experience needed to thrive in today's job market. Take the first step to a fulfilling career in a Mac Tech program. Apply today at mineralarea.edu.
Hi folks, John Robinson here at Pettis Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Supercenter right here in Farmington. I want to take a minute here to invite everybody out. My role has kind of switched. I decided to take on a new role, 33 years in the car business and management, and I'm kind of stepping back a little bit, but what I'm doing is I'm helping. I want to serve all the people that come in and ask for me. I'll handle the whole process from A to Z right here. So no running back and forth. It's going to be easy. We've got just about anything that anybody is looking for, and if we don't have it in a vehicle, I'll get it. I'll find it. So my cell phone is 573-701-8002. You can call me or text me at any time. I'll promptly respond 7 days a week, 24/7 if I'm awake. So just come on out and see me. I'll be glad to help you. It'd be my privilege to serve you. Put all my years of experience to work for you. So come on out once again. Pettis Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Supercenter, Fairgrounds exit just north of Farmington.
Let's spend some time now talking about Discover Farmington on the Parkland podcast. Joining us here at the barn is Kristen White. Kristen, you're one of the busiest people I know because you have so many events, so many things going on with the city of Farmington. Thanks so much for spending some time to talk to us today. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
You are so right, Jason. It used to be back in the day, people would say, if I want to know what's happening in Farmington, I go ask Mark Toti. They don't do that anymore. They ask Kristen White because she knows everything.
A very successful Blues, Brews, and Barbecue. Kind of put a bow on that event and tell us a little bit about how things worked out from your end.
Yes, thank you. It was a great weekend. We were a little bit worried about the weather. It got a little bit warm. It got a little bit rainy, but we still had great crowds. The music was fantastic this year, so I think it gets better and better every year. So that was definitely a fun weekend. It was a busy weekend, but I met a lot of great people. We had some folks in from out of town, so it was a lot of fun.
The focus was on the music, but I thought the arts and crafts area was pretty cool, and the Volkswagen show was pretty neat too.
Yes, everybody loves the Volkswagen show, so we were excited to have them back for the second year. And then our vendor area, we did expand that this year, so more vendors, more food, more beverages.
Want to talk about the big block party coming up. It's almost too bad we just couldn't have left everything, together there at downtown Farmington.
Right, just leave it all set up.
Yeah, but Friday night you got another big show.
Yep, that's on October 4th. Fame and Fortune is going to be performing, so I have not had the pleasure to hear them myself, but one of our board members recruited them, and I've heard they're amazing, so I'm excited to see them.
This is a big year for Long Memorial Hall, isn't it?
It is. It's our 100th anniversary. So the entire month of October we have dedicated to celebrating that. We're going to have events going on every weekend. Lots of opportunities for people to come in and see the hall. It's not always open where there may be events going on. So if you haven't been in, definitely mark your calendar for one or several of those events to come see us.
Yeah, and I guess one of the first ones is the review, right? Saturday the 5th?
Yes, that's the Historical Society review. It's going to start at 1 o'clock in Long Hall. We've got some members from the St. Francis County Historical Society that are going to be there, just presenting some information on the history of the hall. The more that we've talked about this over the last several months, I've learned so much history, and it's really interesting how everything came to be in Farmington, how the downtown came to be. So
there's going to be a little bit of everything throughout the month of October and a variety of things too.
Yes. On the 12th, we have a tea party. It's Jenny's Tea Party, so it's named after Jane Ambrose Bisbee. She is the lady that donated the funds for the hall. So it's kind of a fun ladies' day. We're going to have snacks, tea sandwiches, tea cakes, tea, so you can dress up in your Sunday best and come hang out with your friends. Jesse Williams is going to be speaking at that event, so it'll be very interesting, but it'll be a really fun time too. And then at the end, we're going to go tour the Long House. So another building that you don't always get to go in. It's not always open to the public, so it'll be a great opportunity to get down there as well.
Jessie is a wealth of information, isn't she?
She is. I'm so lucky to have had her throughout this process. She's given so much information on the history, and we're really lucky to have her come speak.
Now, and then you put on your flapper dresses and get ready for the Roaring 20s as we go back 100 years.
Yes, that's going to be a really fun time. If you haven't got tickets yet, you can get those on our website. It's discoverfarmingtonmo.gov. It's $50 a person, but that's going to include appetizers. There will be a cash bar. We're going to have live music from a band out of St. Louis. So it'll be traditional 1920s music. We're going to have some fun surprises. We've got a dance group coming in, so I won't give away too much, but that'll be a really fun thing to watch and just a good time to come out with your friends and relax and have fun.
So Kristen, America wants to know, do you own a flapper dress?
I do not. I have yet to get mine, so I'm on that. That's on my to-do list.
Getting closer to Halloween on October the 25th. The trunk or treat happening in downtown Farmington. Tell us about that event.
Yes. So we've done this the last several years with different organizations. So the downtown businesses are going to be open, select businesses, but we'll try to get a list out closer to time so you'll know where to go. But kids can trick or treat from 4 to 5 that night. And then afterwards, we're welcoming them into Long Hall. So it'll be a family-friendly event, won't be too spooky for the little ones, but we're going to have a costume contest and some giveaways, just a lot of fun for all ages.
I tell you what, if this is like years past, there's going to be a multitude of little ones in downtown Farmington today.
Yes. It's always a really successful event. So we're excited to welcome everybody in afterwards and, again, give them an opportunity to see Long Hall. So.
And then the next day you have an event, I believe it's 18 and older and totally free. I was talking to some teachers about this at school this week, and we're all really excited about it. The downtown cemetery tours. Tell us about that.
Yes. So this is something they did it, I want to say about 20, 25 years ago. So we're kind of bringing that back, giving people an opportunity to visit the cemetery to get the backstory on some of those people that are buried there. And who did really big things for our community. So we're going to have some volunteers who are portraying those people. You'll get a little bit of the history from them. And then at the start of it, you'll start at this old St. Francis County Jail. So it'll kind of run like we do the carriage rides downtown. We will have the horse and carriage available. So you'll start there at the jail. You'll get on the horse and carriage. You'll take a guided tour down to the cemetery and then back to the jail at the end of it. So it should be a lot of fun. And again, it is encouraged for 18 and up. If you do have teens, we definitely want parents there with them.
Now, I know we're all hoping for good weather, but in case the weather's a little on the inclement side, you're going to do everything inside Long Hall, right?
Yes, we will have our presenters there in Long Hall. So
I know one of the presenters, I think, don't I?
I think you do.
Just call me Doobie.
Yeah.
Yes. Mark has volunteered to help us, so it'll be fun to see what he brings to the table.
Absolutely.
It may not be totally historical, but it could be more hysterical. I don't know.
Maybe so.
But you really won't. Misspelling. Yes, you won't get much of a chance to take a break in November because then you get ready for the holiday season, right?
Yes, we have a lot of things planned for the holiday season. We're bringing back a lot of those events we did last year, just encouraging people to get into the downtown area, into the Farmington area and the region. We have so much to offer at the holidays, whether it's shopping or fun for young children, fun for adults, a lot of things going on during the holidays.
I know we talk about it all the time when we talk about the events and your organization, but kind of tell us a little bit of how this all came about and I guess kind of the overall mission of promoting the region.
Yeah, so we definitely want to promote the region. We have a great board that works really hard to come up with ideas to get people regionally, people that are further out, like we did with Blues, Brews, and Barbecue. I think this year our goal was to bring in more of those people that may be a 3 or 4 hour drive from us, get them to come in for the weekend and hopefully come back again. So that's really our goal with tourism. And I think Blues, Brews, and Barbecue, we had some great success with that.
People come into Farmington, they see Maple Valley, and it's kind of intimidating because it's so big and it's got such a variety of stores. But it amazes me, downtown Farmington on the weekends, I go to church Saturday afternoon, how busy the downtown area still is, even at like 3 and 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Right. It really is a gem, the old buildings that have been so well maintained. That's one thing when I travel that I look for is those areas like that where you really get the history of the community and you get to meet people. It's just a really cool thing that we have.
Very good. Kristen, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks for all the great information you give us every week. I mean, I feel like we need to put you on the payroll.
Well, we appreciate that you all share it and get the word out. So
I thought you were going to say, well, I'll take it.
well, I mean,
is there anything else that you wanted to mention that we haven't brought up yet?
if you need any more information, any details, you can go to the website. It's discoverfarmingtonmo.gov. We've got everything there, where to purchase tickets, all the times and everything.
Fantastic. That's your resource to go to. And that's Kristen White with Discover Farmington, our guest right now on the Parkland Podcast. DiscoverFarmingtonMo.com is more than you've ever imagined. That website is fantastic to find out about events going on. Discover Farmington, you thought they'd just like chill out after Blues Brews and barbecue. No, October is a huge, huge month for that organization, Mark.
Absolutely. Coming up this Friday, there is a big block party featuring fame and fortune. Then on Saturday, the St. Francis County Historical Society Review takes place at Long Hall. And then you can hang out for a Frankie Valli tribute show. That'll be taking place October 12th. A lot of these events are to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Long Hall in downtown Farmington, which Discover Farmington is helping to organize. There's Jenny's Tea Party, October 12th at 1 p.m. Coming up on the 19th, there is a 100 years at Long Hall celebration, a Roaring 20s celebration. You can get your tickets at discoverfarmingtonmo.com. October 25th, downtown trick-or-treating starting at 4. The 26th, Voices of the Past, a downtown cemetery tour. All these great things and more being put on by a group that loves to support Farmington and promote the entire region, Discover Farmington.
And you can find out about local events, even book a wedding or day trip on the website, discoverfarmingtonmo.com. More than you ever imagined, and we greatly appreciate their sponsorship here on the Parkland Podcast. Let's talk about Save-A-Lots of the Parkland. They're in Bonne Terre, DeSoto, Potosi, Park Hills, and Farmington. And they have an excellent selection of items. And I love how they're getting more local items in. And one of the best things around locally is this from Bailey Joe's. So yummy.
Yes, Bailey Joe's saw Jeremy, and he gave us a couple of these to brag about. These are available in Save-A-Lot stores. This is their dressing, their Italian dressing. We also have some barbecue sauce. I believe there's a barbecue and a cherry glaze there as well. And they started phenomenal and worked their way up. But that's just an example of the great quality products you will find at Save-A-Lot. And I got to tell you, at our men's club barbecue, we had a few leftover chickens from the John Thomas Scholarship Fundraiser, and we broke them out. All that chicken came from Save-A-Lot. And I got to tell you, it's fabulous.
Yeah, they do such a great job. They have butchers in every store. They're always, looking at ways to bring new and exciting items to the store. So things are changing. It's not, the same every time, which is real exciting. They do a great job. Check them out today. They're Save-A-Lots of the Parkland, Bonne Terre, DeSoto, Park Hills, Potosi, and Farmington. Let's do some music now here on the Parkland Podcast with our song and album picks. Mark, Toti, give me a cool song that's been on your mind lately that you really enjoy.
A cool song that I listened to on the way over here from a group called The Hooters, All You Zombies.
Oh.
It is a great song. Google it, listen to it. You will love it. The Hooters also had another big hit.
And we danced.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I love that song too. That would have been a good choice, but I was listening to All You People in High Places, All You Zombies. Great tune. You definitely want to check it out. My album, Iron Butterfly. In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, baby. Don't you know that I love you so? The reason I love In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida is it's 18 minutes long.
Yes.
It's the whole second side of this album. So if you were a radio announcer at a rock-oriented station, you could play that song. You could go to the bathroom. You could run down to the store, pick up some groceries, stop by, see the girlfriend, and still get back in time for the end of that song. But it's a great, great tune from Iron Butterfly, In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida. Great album.
For song, I'm going to go with Tool, the band Tool, and Eulogy. This was from the Enema album back in 1996. And this was a song that was written about Kurt Cobain, who had died a couple years earlier, the lead singer of Nirvana. And it's basically a eulogy to him. And I remember when this CD came out, went and bought the CD, and I mean, we wore that thing out. We saw them in concert later on that year in Springfield at a place called the Shrine Mosque, which was about as big as the TJ Fulon Fieldhouse in Park Hills. And it was such an awesome show and such a neat song by Tool.
Just watch the language.
Yes. Make sure, it might not.
Moms, dads, don't let your little ones hear it without you previewing it first.
This one might have some raunchy language on it, too. This is Black Oak, Arkansas, Raunch and Roll,
Sweet
baby.
And sticky.
Yeah, got some live music from them. When Electricity Came to Arkansas is on this album. Gigolo, Hot Rod, Mutants of Monsters, Hot and Nasty, as you mentioned, Up, and Getting Kind of Cocky. Black Oak, Arkansas. They are from Black Oak, Arkansas.
Show the backside of that album. Now, there's a guy you want your daughters to bring home for dinner, let me tell you.
That's Jim Dandy, right?
Yeah, go Jim Dandy. Go Jim Dandy.
Very, very good. Thank you, Jim Whaley, for the album Loan.
Good pick, Mr. Whaley.
Yeah, nicely done there. All right, so I guess we have another show coming up next week, and we have more guests to speak with and lots to tell you about. What's happening on our next episode, golly, what is it now? 18 of the Parkland Podcast. Who will be joining us then?
Coming up next week, we'll have Brandon Hubbard as our guest. He'll tell us about some of the big economic development work that he and his family are involved in. And we're also going to do a little babbling
About Broadway.
Yeah.
Big show coming to Truman Auditorium, and that'll be on our next show. Very good. Have a great week, sir. Enjoy the barbecue and all the fun stuff that you have going on.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. You do the same, and looking forward to more football coming up this week as well.
All right, that's Potosi Central, and again, that's our game coming up on YouTube and Facebook. Have a great week, everybody, and thanks for watching and listening to the Parkland Podcast.
This is Mary Lee Visnosky from Earth Mother Health Foods. Actually, most people just call me Mother Earth, and some people call me Earth Mother. Either way, but I've been here 33 years, going on 34, and it's been my pleasure to help hundreds of people, and I feel like that's why I'm still here at the age I am, still helping people, because I think God kind of put me here, and anyway, I came from a long family of people that doctored. My grandmother and great-grandmother and all of them were kind of Indian granny doctors. They delivered babies and all that stuff, and the whole family. And then it was really kind of interesting when a lot of them, like the older ones, were all into the herbal medicine. And then when the younger group came on, they all became doctors and nurses, and yeah, and it was... And my uncle, I had one uncle, I told you a picture of him up there, and he was the one that stayed with all the natural stuff. Mm-hmm. And he would tell me, say, all the rest of them's out there, doctor and nursing and all that stuff. Now, Mary Lee, you got to learn this stuff because we're the last ones doing this. And he was kind of, not scold me, but remind me that I had to remember and learn as much as I could. Uncle Johnny was his name. And he lived to be in his 90s and passed, And so, anyway, but I was thinking about where I grew up and where I grew up. I grew up on a farm in the southern tip of Jefferson County and St. Genevieve County line. We always had a Bloomsdale address. At one time they did have a post office there at Danby, Missouri. That was the name of the little settlement. But it kind of faded into time and just became that was still there, but it didn't have a post office. And then we got our mail in St. Genevieve County at Bloomsdale. But anyway, my grandfather was a sharecropper, and I was going to explain what a sharecropper is. It's a man, or could be a woman, I guess, but anyway, that works for a farmer, and accumulates enough, the hours they accumulate, they get paid for that. They can either get paid in cash, or if the farmer has land that he's willing to part with, they can put that towards land, and they can actually end up with, and that's how my grandfather ended up with his first 40 acres, which is pretty neat, you know. And then he just kept acquiring more and more and more. And then by the time I was around, they owned several hundred acres. But anyway, that was a sharecropper, and I thought that was it's kind of a neat thing to know that back then you could work to even earn land, you know, just whatever, because they'd have to get a certain amount for their pay. But then, you know, then they could also sharecrop and acquire acreage, you know. So that was kind of neat. But I want to talk a little bit about the Great Depression. I've always been puzzled as why they called it great.
Yeah.
I guess that meant its size, because it must have been horrible. I mean, and I came in right behind that Great Depression, because the Great Depression ran from 1929 to 1941. And I was born in 1940, so see, I was, you know, it was still going on. And that nobody can realize how bad that was. That was horrible. I remember that people didn't hardly smile. It was just, everybody was devastated. They didn't know what was going to happen to them next, you know, because there was just, there was no coffee, you know, and different stuff. But see, because right after the Depression, World War II started. Well, actually, it started before the Depression was over, because it actually started in 39 and went to 45. So we went right out of that from one to the other. And I know you've heard a lot about it, but it was devastating, and people didn't smile a lot. It was just and it surprises me that the ones of us that did, you know, I was born right into that, but how pleasant we have stayed. You know what I mean? But I think we appreciate what we got so much more than others that didn't go through that. I think that makes you appreciate things, you know, maybe. I think it does anyway.
Yeah.
But my dad had two brothers that during World War II were called to service, because my dad was the one that was staying with the farm. One was entitled to stay with the farm. And my dad stayed with the farm. With my grandpa was old by that time, and he was farming the farm. But then the war got so bad that they took the guys off the farms too, and he had to go to Little Rock, Arkansas, and it was called the Little Rock Arsenal. And we rode down on a train. I went with my mom and this other lady, Florence Barr was her name. And her husband was down there, and they had to salute the officers all the time, and my dad got so tired of every time you turned around you were saluting, you know, and so I don't know, whatever, but he carried me, and I was a big old long-legged kind of kid, not big but real long legs, and I was so embarrassed because he never ever carried me any other time, and there we were with all up in that place, and riding down on the train was horrible. It smelled real bad, and they didn't have bathroom facilities, and it was just, the country was in a mess. It really, 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 really was. And I think maybe knowing that and remembering that helps us appreciate what we've got today and pray that we don't go back there. You know what I mean? But Daddy was the one that, of course, stayed with the farm, and then because he was staying with the farm, he didn't have to go to action. He stayed completely stateside.
Okay.
And he was stationed different places in the state, but his brothers both did. They both had to go into the war. And then my mother had a brother. His name was Pete, and he was in the war, and he got killed in Battle of the Bulge. You've heard of that?
Yeah.
Yes. And I can remember I can remember the mail carrier, and that's one of the things I'm going to tell her about. But the mail carrier was named Katie Brown, and we got our mail up at the post office, so it was unusual for the mail carrier to come to your house. But she came to our house, and my grandmother went out because she was a real good friend of Katie's. She thought she wanted to see her for something, you know. And anyway, pretty soon, and this is why I know I remember it, because there's no way I would have known this if I hadn't remembered it. And I remember being a little nosy kid and, seeing what was going on. And my grandma come back to the kitchen door and she opened the kitchen. She said, my mother's name was Muriel, but everybody called her Merle. I guess I couldn't say Muriel. And anyway, she said, Merle, it's for you, and it's not good. And I remember those words. And anyway, and so Mom went out there, and Mrs. Brown gave her the paper, like a telegram kind of thing, and that he was killed in action, or he was missing in action.
Right.
And we knew then that he was dead, And anyway, but he was kind of like everybody's favorite brother.
Yeah.
Of all the family, every one of them he was their favorite, just favorite. And he has a son. His name's Eddie, and he's a retired lawyer now in Texas. And he and I have always felt, we look a little bit alike, and we've always felt kind of like we were kind of brother-sister kind of thing, because he didn't have it. He never had any siblings then. And but anyway, he's retired now from being a lawyer. But that was a devastating thing for us to go through, and I remember them playing I was trying to figure that out, and one of my cousins brought it to my attention. I said, well, I can remember them playing those taps at the cemetery so well. And I said, I remember that better than I do the actual, when we got the telegram that he'd gotten killed. I said, I remember Mom falling on the ground and crying, and I remember all that, but I can't remember, anymore. And he said, no, he said, you know why? He said it took him several years to bring him back from overseas. So we didn't get him back right away.
Yeah.
And so I remember the cemetery scene, and what that was like. And anyway, it was hard. It was just real hard. But the other things I wanted to talk a little bit more about Katie Brown, because I think she'll think this is funny, but I'm not going to tell her where the name come from until next time when we're talking about something else.
Okay.
But Katie Brown had a son she called Honey Bunch. And he was everything but a honey bunch, let me tell you. He was something else. And but that was her baby, and she called him Honey Bunch. And when I went to that one-room school, and I'm going to do a thing on the one-room school, so I'm cheating on it a little bit. But when we would have, that's going to be my next thing. Next time you come. But anyway, in this one-room school, we had peanut stabs. Have you ever heard of that? Well, it was kind of a stupid thing to start out with. But you had jars, and they put peanuts in them, and then you had an ice pick.
Okay.
And you would stick it down in there, and then you'd move from table to table. Whoever got the most peanuts on their ice stick, on their...
Right.
That ain't what you call it.
Like on their pick? Or
Yeah, on the pick. Whoever got the most peanuts, and you got to move to the next table.
Okay.
Well, Honey Bunch had a habit of stopping at the filling station to get something besides a soda sometime, He'd get there, and he'd be kind of greased up. And anyway, and he would start getting those peanuts, and we had to keep extra jars for Honey Bunch because he'd break them, and we'd have to start over and put more peanuts in the thing. And he did that all the time. We'd get so aggravated with him, but he was Katie Brown's Honey Bunch. That's what he was, so it's funny, But that's just a little added thing. But my mother's brother, Pete, was the one that got killed, I said, in the Battle of the Bulge. And I don't know I don't think the family ever really got over that. I mean, we've grieved that. I still grieve it.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I still grieve it. But I was able to, he had given me a real silver spoon when I was a baby, made out of silver. It was a little cute little spoon. And when his granddaughter had a baby, I sent that spoon to that baby. And told her that her great-grandpa had given it to me to give to her.
That's great.
Wasn't that neat?
Yeah.
That just gave me such pleasure. But anyway, I'm getting behind myself, behind her head. Oh, this was an awesome thing that happened to me. This happened to me in St. Genevieve. When I was in tourism down there for years, and There was a man came in one day and he was looking around. I worked at the Amaral House. That's the house I worked at most of the time. And it was owned by a family of Donzis. You know, that's the St. Genevieve name.
Oh, yeah.
And he came in and he said, you know, I've always wanted to come to this town. And I said, you have? And he said, yes. He said, when I was in the service, he said, on the battlefield I found a prayer book, a little tiny prayer book. And it had a man's name from this town. It was Donzi.
Huh.
He was even in the right house.
Wow.
Can you? You talk about a God thing. If that wasn't, there never was. Because, I mean, he even came to a house where a Donzi owned that. Huh. And it was a relative, you know, of theirs. And he had found that prayer book on the battlefield. And it came all the way from, I don't know, out east somewhere.
Right.
He brought it home with him from the battlefield. But isn't that a neat story? Yeah.
And how many years had he kept it, do you think?
Lord. I was born, the war was in the 40s.
Right.
To 45. And this was like before I was working here, or before I owned this store. 40 years or something.
Kept it for 40 years.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, isn't that interesting?
That is.
Yeah, I thought it was a prayer book. And I was so blessed because I was able to give it to his only son.
Huh.
Wow. And, I saw him just recently down at St. Genevieve, you know, at a restaurant. And that always made a bond between me and him, you know. And I thought that was pretty neat that how that worked out, you know. But anyway, well, I've just enjoyed doing this so much. It just gives me pleasure to do it. And, you know, my goal is helping people. And we help a lot of people here at Earth Mother. And I'd like to invite any and all to come and see us. And we don't push you to buy nothing. And all of our products are third-party tested. That's why we have, people are just shocked at that. But I can't buy anything that's not third-party tested. So everything has to be exactly what it's supposed to be. And I feel like God's kind of put me here to do what I do. And I welcome any and all of you.
Here are your weekly obituaries, courtesy of the Parkland Podcast. If you would like to submit an obituary, email jkldigmed@gmail.com. That's jkldigmed@gmail.com. Obituaries received by Saturday morning will be read on the following Monday's episode. Please join us for a Celebration of Life service for Mary Thomas this coming Wednesday at the Bridge Community Church in Leadington. The visitation is going to be unlike anything you've ever seen before. Starting at 4:30 p.m., we're going to have a party the way that Mary would like us to have in the lobby. We're going to have party decorations and a photo booth, finger foods, and a pie bar will be provided. And then at 6 p.m., we'll have a Celebration of Life service in the sanctuary.